And welcome to yet another Sipchat. Firstly, thank you, Sipchat. Thank you, SIP, for giving me this opportunity to have a chat on this platform with Mrs. Shalini Chainani, our most senior physiotherapist, whom I have had the privilege to know and work with for more than 25 years. Madam Chainani, as we lovingly call her, I know her for last 20 and had the privilege to work with her. She is a very kind-hearted and gentle person, but yet at the same time, she is an extremely hardworking, determined person who was always interested in experimenting with new ideas. She never deterred from taking any new challenges that came her way, which explains her long innings in the profession. Madam was born in and brought up in Bombay. She did her physiotherapy from the School of Physiotherapy, St. G.S. Medical College, KEM Hospital, Mumbai, in 1954. It's amazing because in 1972, when I joined physiotherapy in the same school, physiotherapy was hardly known, and it was never a first choice of the course or vocation. So it would be interesting to hear from Madam as to how she chose to go in for physiotherapy, which was absolutely not known in 1954. So please join me in welcoming Shalini Chainani, Madam, as we will call her. We are all eager to hear her. Good evening, Madam.
Good evening, Netra.
We welcome you to Sipchat.
Thank you very much for your very generous introduction. Maybe that much was not required, you know. Okay, I should also like to thank a Society of Indian Physiotherapists for inviting me to share my professional experiences on the platform of Sipchat. Thank you.
Madam, we'd like to know from you, what made you go in for physiotherapy back in those days when it wasn't even known?
Okay. Netra, I was aspiring to join a medical college after the interscience examination, but that didn't happen. However, okay. I was not keen on going in for a course for nursing or teaching or lab technology. So I discussed this matter with my father, and he guided me to go and visit Vocational Guidance Bureau at Dhobi Talao, which I did.
Okay.
And when I went there, I spent a lot of time and found many courses, but two courses attracted my attention. One was occupational therapy, which was started in 1950. And the course in physiotherapy was started in 1953, just a year before I went there, in 1954.
I see.
So what I did the very next day, I went to the School of Physiotherapy at KM Hospital, and met with the receptionist, who told me immediately that the last date for getting the issuing of admission forms was over. So I was thoroughly disappointed. But at that moment, I decided to enter the director's office. So I entered his chamber with his permission and expressed my disappointment of being late in arriving.
Yeah.
And sure. At that point in time, he must have understood my disappointment. So he said, immediately wait. And he went and got me a form from somewhere and said, you fill it in and then submit it immediately on the next day, which I did. Post that, I had an interview with 5 imposing personalities. And
Oh,
the interview, well, I was admitted to the second.
हाँ उनको मैंने एक asked
I
to
think,
unmute मगर she
I
forget.
think, yes, Dr. Shalini's video is not, yes.
Yeah. Can you?
Yes, now we can hear you, madam.
Oh, did you not hear me at all?
No, in between, after that interview.
Okay. After that interview, I was admitted to the course. And then I joined the second batch of students of physiotherapy. So
Okay.
that's what my entry to physiotherapy was. You know, at the meeting with Mr. Jacks, who was the director, was the turning
Okay.
point in my professional and personal life. You know, so
I see. Excellent. That's very interesting to know.
yeah.
So, what were the memories that you can share of your college days or school physiotherapy school days, ma'am?
Okay, it was a batch of 9 students, Netra. There
Okay.
were six girls and 3 boys,
Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
surprisingly all the 3 boys were refugees from Pakistan. In fact,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
yeah, and it was an interesting mix of students from different parts of India, and we had the faculty for physiotherapy of our batch was from Mr. Jacks, of course. Then there was Mrs. Rhoda Vakil, Mrs. Paige
Okay.
Mehta, Mr.
Mm.
Gopal Joshi, who had a background in gymnastics. And
Okay.
interestingly, our senior students, the senior batch
Right.
students, were inspired teachers. Can you believe that? And
Yes.
sometimes they were overwhelming. Okay,
Uh-huh.
but being 6 girls, we were we were able to cope up with them. So
Oh, lovely.
yeah, but
Girl
from
power is always good.
yeah, and other thing is from the faculty from KM was very interesting. They were all luminaries in their fields. One was Dr.
Okay.
Batliwala for physiology, Dr. Kurulkar for
Uh-huh.
anatomy, and Dr. Katrak, who was known as the father of orthopedics, who he was our teacher, Dr. K.T. Dholakia, and Dr. Uh,
Okay.
P.K. Sen was a cardiologist, and
Wow.
Dr. E.P. Bharucha was a neurology professor, and he was the most humorous one, and we used to look forward to his lectures. All of them, you know,
Right.
they were senior teachers, even at postgraduate level. But when they taught us, they came to our level and made the lectures very interesting. So uh,
Wow. You all
that's
were really privileged to have such luminaries as
yeah,
teachers, ma'am.
yeah, really we were, yeah, definitely. And
Really.
we were
So
much,
it
yeah.
was a 2 year,
It
two
was a
years
2 year
course.
diploma course. It was a 2 year diploma course. Yes, thank you.
I see. And then what did you do after that? Did you go in for a job or for a course or what? What did you do
No, uh,
after your 2 years?
yeah, okay, I must tell you that our batch was very fun-loving batch. We used to go to a lot of picnics with
Uh-huh.
our batch, students, the senior batches, and we were very friendly with even the occupational therapy students. So we used to go for a lot of picnics, and we used to go to movies.
Love.
Yeah, it was a hard-working, fun-loving batch. Second batch, yeah,
Lovely. Lovely. Great.
and yeah,
So after that, you had a lot of
yeah,
difficulty in going in
for a job. No, you
some.
said, as you said,
Yes.
Neha, you know,
Yeah.
physiotherapy was unknown at that time, and
Correct.
you know, it so transpired that when we were about to finish our graduation, a WHO team arrived in Mumbai.
Uh-huh.
A WHO team arrived in Mumbai, comprising Mr. Robert McAdam, who was a physiotherapist. He was from England, but he had settled in Oslo. He had a there. Then Mr. Robbins was a vocational counselor. Miss Francois Lamont, she was an occupational therapist, and Mr. Herman, he was an orthotic and prosthetic consultant. So
Okay.
the team had no proper place to work from. Their building was not ready. So they used to work out of
Okay.
the EM hospital, and they did a course.
Okay. I
Course
see.
in rehabilitation of the physically handicapped. And Mr.
Okay.
Gopi, my batchmate, and I joined that course. So
I see.
I
Okay.
would I would briefly like to say that this course was so different from our undergraduate training. They did not have any use of any electrotherapy or any other machines. It was all about materials, polypropylene, polyethylene, about
Correct.
prosthesis,
Correct.
activities of daily living, and ground reactions and gait training, and it was so different. But that stood me
So it was
in future. It helped me a lot, doing this course.
all of an international standard, I would think, at that time.
Yes, it was at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
And did that help you to get into any job? Were the prospects better after that?
Not really. Not yes. I think because when I went from Dar es Salaam to the US, I think that WHO letterhead was of use to me, because they believed that WHO would.
Okay. Right. But immediately after the course, did you get into a
Yeah, immediately after my graduation and post graduation, I got an assignment at Lokmanya Tilak Municipal General Hospital at Sion. Today it is called Sion Hospital.
Okay.
But in those days, there was no medical college there. It was a hospital, and
I see.
Dr. Joglekar was a medical superintendent, and the hospital was entirely located in military barracks. So it was a de-glamorized place for a youngster to get a job into. And I was supposed to start a new department.
Okay.
My designation was
Right.
junior physiotherapist. So and it was a
That
mixed
was
feeling. Yeah, it was a mixed feeling.
quite diverting.
Yeah. Nitra, I would like to just digress a little from here
Yeah.
because I had my orientation meeting with Dr. Joglekar within 5 days after joining, and
Okay.
and benign man,
Mm.
and he said, "Oh, you are in charge of the department." So my ears pricked, because I was so happy thinking that he was going to give me a higher designation.
Right.
He said, no. He said that there are budgetary constraints, and you can use a team of carpenters to
Okay.
get whatever you want to do, whatever you want to get fabricated. And
Okay.
then he again repeated, you are in charge of the department. I said, yes, sir, but my designation is only junior physiotherapist. That was a repeat. He said,
That's right.
But you can't come to a hospital in frocks, he told me, And he said, tomorrow, please wear saris. So
Oh my God.
he changed my dress code. So I can't forget that incident and that meeting with Dr. Joglekar. The medical college started in I think 1965, and he continued to be the dean of that college. Yeah.
Okay. And how many years were you there after you built up the science department as such?
Netra, I cannot claim to have developed that department because the equipment started coming so slowly. It trickled in. But anyway, my main job was to introduce our profession to many of the consultants who were very receptive at that time, at least at the Sion Hospital. I was there for 2.5 years, and then there was an opportunity for me to move to BYL Naya Charitable Hospital, Topiwala National Medical College. So I jumped at it because it was a medical college, So
yeah. So that was an already established department, right?
Yeah, there was the department had started 2 years before I joined, and the attitude there was quite different, Netra. The consultants were most of them were qualified from England. In those days, everybody used to rush to England, with postgraduate courses.
Right, yes.
And they looked down upon on physiotherapy and said, "What is this bake and fake therapy?" That kind of an attitude.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was very frustrating. But anyway, by that time I had two more juniors with me, Nalini and Anil. And then we built up OPD and ward work and library and so on. One more interesting.
And slowly, you changed the whole outlook of those consultants, madam.
Some of them, not all. It was.
Right.
They were difficult. Yeah.
Okay. You were saying something else, madam?
Yeah, I was saying that while I was at Nair Hospital, I had organized a conference for IAP.
Yes, madam. Just going to do. How was the IAP formed, and when was it formed? How was it formed? Can you tell us something about it? Because it's like pillar of physiotherapy.
Yeah, I know. It would be. They would be interested in knowing the birth of IAP.
Correct.
See, when we joined, I was in the second batch, as I have mentioned, and when we were first year students, we used to watch wide-eyed our seniors discussing, sometimes in a cooler mood or sometimes heatedly, the need for forming an association for our physiotherapy. In IAP, the name was not yet selected. The seniors would meet in the late afternoons and discuss this very rigorously. Foremost among them was Mr. H.H. Jawle. He was, we juniors appreciated and admired his eloquence so much that behind his back we used to call him HH, His Highness, Yeah, you knew me well, Netra.
Yes.
I'm sure
he was the driving force.
He was a dynamo behind this.
Correct.
This was really a movement which was started. I would like to use the word Gangotri, how it developed from a small beginning, and today. So, but we also had the council of Mrs. Kellogg's. She was a senior physiotherapist who came from Children's Orthopedic Hospital. She was also a member of Chartered Society of Physiotherapists. So occasionally she attended these meetings and tempered down the heat, so there would be more light in these meetings, And there were, Mr. Jawle, Akshay Mazumdar. I remember all my seniors. They were excellent, and their determination and their perseverance finally brought them to the goal. And in 1955, the year of their graduation, the year of the first batch of graduation, was Indian Association of Physiotherapists was formed.
Lovely.
So it was a great beginning for our profession, our nationwide profession.
Definitely.
Yeah. After that, Netra, many schools came up. Like I remember Chinese problem. Let 1,000 flowers bloom. That's so like that. Then the School of Physiotherapy sprouted in so many states. Delhi, there were two then in Nagpur, then in Baroda, then in South. So many schools.
Correct. Madam, what was your role in IAP? Would you like to wait for some time, madam?
No, I'll just have a sip of water, please.
Please take your time.
See, all of us were members of IAP. Some were
Yes.
more active. I was one of the
Correct.
active members. Yeah,
Great. Great.
I was one of the active members. So also, as the years passed, Saroj Sanghvi, Daulat Dastoor, Madhav Mokashi, Mr. Jacob, they all became active members. And then there were elections for IAP office bearers, and we stood for elections. And
Mm-hmm.
I contested membership for executive council of
Okay.
IAP, and we
Yes.
and then I was appointed convener of Constitution Committee. I was also a member of council. Then the struggle for council of independent council for physiotherapy started at that time.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, really. Netra, I must say here,
Yes.
listeners, especially if there are any juniors, and also Kaushal, he must know because he's so interested in the past of
Correct.
physiotherapy. I think the gestation period for an independent council has been more than 50 years.
Absolutely.
It's
We just got one,
it's
no?
yeah. Now we have an independent cell, a cell for independent.
Correct.
So that's what we have heard. Yeah. And then,
Correct.
just to tell you very briefly, my role in IAP, I was, convener of the Constitution Committee. That is the memorandum of the association. It was revised and it had to be amended completely. And I recall that it had to be presented at the general body meetings. And
Mm-hmm.
because it was so lengthy and there were so many clauses and amendments, it was it had to be passed, approved by 80% of the attending members at the general body meeting. And
Okay.
it was passed in the third general body meeting. So you can imagine how long the work went on. But anyway,
Right.
it was passed. And
Good.
for the Council Act, how many times we went to Delhi? I went with
I
Daulat
see.
Dastur once, then with the team physiotherapist here, then with Mr. Jacob. I was president of IAP from 82 to 84. And
Oh,
Mr. Jacob and I had gone to, and we met Mr. Narsimha Rao, who was the health minister, and
okay.
Mr. Ashok Bhatnagar and James Joshi and
Uh,
Bela Sethi. They had arranged this meeting. They had arranged the meeting. But
okay.
everybody was very courteous and said yes. But still now, we are in 2021. And
Yes.
anyway, so we have reached
Yes.
our goal. I think we have reached our goal. Yeah.
Yes.
I was also, Netra, I was also editor of the Journal of Indian Association of Physiotherapists
Uh-huh.
for 2 years.
Must have been quite a work, madam.
So that was, in brief, long-standing contribution. Also, I would like to say, as an editor, it was a one-woman orchestra almost because writing editorials to posting, mailing the copies at the other post office was done by the editor.
Single.
Can you imagine? I hope it has changed. It has changed now.
Well,
Yeah.
now it is
Okay.
more digital.
So
Now it's getting into digital world, no? Now we are
yes,
in the
yes,
digital world.
yeah,
So
surely.
it's little
Yeah.
different now. Correct. But yes, madam, people like yourself, the physios like yourselves in those days, you all have laid the foundation for all the uh, youngsters now of today. Madam, something
Yeah.
interesting that I wanted you to share with us. Uh,
Yeah.
Dr. Chainani, sir, he was uh, he was a great person, and he contributed a lot to our profession. And I've heard Anil Bhave also talking about him as his as his a guide for MSc. and he
Yes.
spoke a lot about Chainani sir. So would you like to say a few words about him? So, how you all met, and what influence he had over you, and what was his contribution, and all this we would like to know. It would be quite interesting.
Uh,
First
how we
physiotherapy couple,
met
I would
was
say.
I met him through the course, you know. That's why I said it was a turning point. Meeting Mr. Jacks was a turning point in my life because I met Moti at the physiotherapy course. You know, he was our teacher.
Okay.
What more can I say? But I can only say it was not all chocolates and roses. I can say that. it,
I'm sure
but
it was more than
it
that,
was,
probably.
yeah, it was more on books.
Correct.
It was more okay.
Hmm.
Of course, he had a profound influence on all he and the children. Myself, he, what shall I say, Netra? He was he supported all the decisions. He guided in some of he guided me in some of my decisions, but always supported
Right.
me. So that was the strength, you know. So he was
Okay.
the backbone of the family, entire family. That's what I can say.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, I think.
His
Then
his
regarding his role in physiotherapy, see, he briefly taught at when Mr. Shahani went on his fellowship. Moti was teaching at the School of Physiotherapy for about 6 months. He and Akshay Muzumdar, and then he was selected at All India Institute of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation at Haji Ali.
okay.
He was deputed on a fellowship to visit major rehabilitation centers in England and USA and Canada. So he had the
Okay.
privilege of seeing the best of rehabilitation centers across the major countries, major advanced developed countries. And he came back, and All India Institute, or I may I refer to it as a rehab center. Rehab center is a central government enterprise, so it has an outreach throughout the country. Okay,
Okay.
so when he
Yes.
came back, he had to develop to set up the physiotherapy center, uh,
Okay.
and uh, and he had to structure and develop a postgraduate diploma course in rehabilitation. That was a
Okay.
1 year course with SNDT, affiliated to SNDT. Then the
Okay.
second course was postgraduate certificate course was for 3 months.
I
And
see.
that they were all postgraduate courses. So that's why All India Institute got enrolled many students from all over India, and
Hmm.
some students from African countries also were deputed
Okay.
to these courses. He was also guide for MSc,
Yeah.
and he wrote a book on rehabilitation of the physically handicapped. He
Okay.
also he also set up the first gate laboratory in
Mm-hmm.
India with the
Oh,
financial assistance of WHO.
it's been a great
So
journey for him.
yeah, so
Yeah. He was
it was
deputed
a.
by
I
the
mean, these are
right?
he was he was deputed by government of India to government of Tanzania to start physiotherapy
Oh,
center in the reference hospital, like the Tata Memorial Hospital is a reference hospital.
okay.
Reference hospital in Dar es Salaam, the
Okay.
capital of Tanzania.
Mm-hmm.
So then we all went there as a family, you know, all
I
the
see.
very
Okay. And
beautiful.
how long were
Yeah.
you there with him?
We were there for 4 years. We were in
And
Dar es Salaam for 4 years.
and did you do your physiotherapy, or did you work over there in a hospital or anything?
Yes, yes, I did. while he was busy with with the Mohimbili. It was called a Mohimbili hospital where he was. I was working. I took up an assignment at. It was called Rehabilitation Center for Children.
Okay.
Nitra, it was more like daycare, you know.
I see.
There were children, about 35 children, post-polio paralysis, CPs, malunited fractures, some mentally retarded, and Down syndrome and all. They would come around 10 o'clock, sing songs. They used to do a physical drill, have their lunch, and go back at 1:30. But there was no physiotherapy done for them. So then when I took up the assignment, then we started working on correction of deformities. Then we got one Dr. Mamuji. He was an Indian origin, trained in Pune Medical College. And then he joined and did the corrective surgery for contractures and things like that. And then again, I had a team of doctors who did all the, all the wall bars, parallel bars and things like that, splits and calipers. So we got joint calipers from Kenya or from England, So it was a good experience. And then for a short while, I worked at very interesting. Right. That experience was very interesting. Yeah.
Good. And then y'all came back to India, or what did, after 4 years, were you back in India?
Yeah, Moti and children came back to India. We lived in a joint family, so it was easy for them to come back. But I went to the US. I took up an assignment. Of staff physiotherapist at Mercy Hospital, Toledo, Ohio State. My colleague, classmate, Mr. Gop Karnani, with whom I had done the course, in a postgraduate course. He was working there, and he arranged for me to have a telephonic interview. And I managed to I go there and I worked there for a year, but then decided to come back. The most disappointing thing was there, the practice was, physiotherapy treatment was entered on prescription of a physiatrist. If we wanted to change anything, we had to take approval or permission from the referring physiatrist.
I see.
So that didn't agree very well. The physiatrist in charge was of Korean origin. His name was Dr. Lee Parks.
Wow.
But he was quite considerate when I asked him if I could attend and observe his electrophysiology sessions, EMG nerve conduction studies, which he agreed. And so that was good. But at the end of it, I came back home. So,
Madam, I'm amazed at your memory of all the names that you can come up with all those. After so many years, I don't think I would remember a single name. But they must have influenced your life a lot.
Even I was amazed when Sipchat asked me, and I was trying to put my thoughts together, and I was amazed that I could remember the name of the nurse in Tanzania. Her name was Priska Milinga.
Wow. Very good.
Anyway.
Excellent, madam. So you came back. You left it all and came back to India. But you didn't have a job. So after 4 years, it must have been quite unsettling, no? To start all over again.
Yeah. Yeah, because it looked like a bleak future, coming back. I was so much older and thinking that where do I start now, But anyway, probably it was providential that I managed to get a position of a visiting consultant, physiotherapist at Hindustan Lever Limited. That is that occupational health. So, I could visit, my schedule was one visit to the corporate office at Churchgate and one visit per week and one visit per week at the Sivri factory. That was the largest soap factory in Southeast Asia. Can you believe that?
Oh, yes. Great.
So then that was the beginning of my re-entry into physiotherapy.
Right. And then what about the Piramal family that you became part and parcel and you had such a long association with Piramals? How did you get into Piramal?
Netra, what I would like to say is that it was a 15-minute chance meeting with Dr. K.S. Basu at a mutual friend's place. And he asked me, what did I do? And Dr. Basu was an interesting personality. He was a medical person, but he had done MBA in the US, New York University. And he had come back to India and started Bajaj School of Management. Can you imagine, one of the premier institutes?
Yes, yes.
And it was lucky that I met him because he was in the board of directors at Piramals.
I see.
It was So then within 2 weeks, I got a call from Dr. Basu saying, would I like to meet with Dr. Swati Piramal? She wants to start a rehabilitation center for children. So I said yes. I jumped at the offer. I met her, and she was very young. She had just graduated from GS Medical College, and she was offered a gift of a starting hospital by her father-in-law.
Wow.
And she, being a medical person, she was very concerned about the state of affairs because the epidemic of polio was raging in Mumbai at that time, and that was in 1981. And I agreed, and then we had 3 meetings with Dr. Basu and herself, but later I met her, and she asked me to design and develop a blueprint for the department, and the building ground plus 2 floors came up, and then we started the Gopi Krishna Piramal Memorial Hospital services on 1st June 1983. Okay. And as I said, there was an epidemic of polio. So we went on an overdrive of vaccination, visits to Kasturba Hospital, visits to Gandhinagar, where the mill, that was the hub of mill workers' residence.
I see.
There were 16 textile factories between Lower Parel and Elphinstone.
I see.
And thousands of mill workers, some foreign and some local, residing in Gandhinagar. There was but a lack of adult population there and with their children.
Okay.
So we started a pediatric physiotherapy with treating polios and the other, cerebral palsy and all. And then we invited Mr. Dhruv Mehta, Vishakha Shah, and Geeta Dalal as a visiting consultant. And so then we had a child guidance clinic. Then we had blind children coming from Mother Teresa's Asha Dan. And
I believe
it was Dr. Geeta.
You met Mother Teresa as well, right? Are we showing all the pictures?
Yes,
because I can't see.
Even I can't see anything.
Can Kaushal, are we showing?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'll just show you.
Because Mother Teresa came and visited us because Dr. Swati Piramal declared Lower Parel as no polio zone.
Right.
And we did intensive and extensive work towards no polio zone. And at that time, Mother Teresa had come and visited Piramal Hospital in appreciation of our work there.
Right.
Ma'am.
Yes.
So
you can see, ma'am?
Yes, now we can see.
Those were the...
I think we can just skip through all those pictures. So, madam, these are your batchmates, is it? we are going a bit
these
backward
were.
now because he didn't share the.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So can we go one by one, Kaushal, please?
Yeah.
So these were the picnics.
Okay, this was a mixed picnic. Yeah, physiotherapy, occupational therapists, and so on. Yeah, together.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Next.
This was my postgraduate with the WHO team. This boy was Nazareth, bilateral amputee, and I was doing gait training for him.
Okay, next. And that's the lovely couple. That's the charming couple. First physiotherapy couple.
Thank you.
Next.
Yeah,
and
that
that's
was. Yeah, that was, as you asked me, what was his contribution? This was at All India Institute of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation. And yeah, can you show the next one, please, Kaushal? Yeah, these were the students, these were the different students you can see coming from all over India. So every batch had to take pictures at the end, so, okay. And this was during my presidentship. The president of the WCPT, World Confederation of Physical Therapy, visited it. That was an honor for us. And it was all through the efforts of Ms. Daulat Dastu that she came. Daulat represented India at the WCPT, and she invited her and she came. And this happened to be during my presidentship of IAP. So
lovely. Next.
This was Mother Teresa who came to visit us when we adopted Lower Parel as no polio zone.
Next.
Yeah, this was the child. And these were the blind children that we treated at that we were treating at the school. Yeah, at the school of Mata Lakshmi. Pata Lakshmi Nursery, the children. Yeah, children from there. Yeah.
Okay. Next.
This was yeah. Okay. And now, then, yeah, Nitra, now we are here,
Sorry.
As you said, my journey with the Piramals. After 5 years of pediatric service, Piramals extended their medical services to adult population, and thereby we moved into developing a physiotherapy department for adult patients. And Netra, that was the time when we invited you to join us for your expertise in cardiac rehabilitation.
That's right, ma'am.
Then we had the latest of equipment, Netra. If you remember, even we had isokinetic equipment. We also had biofeedback, which was my favorite at that time.
Yes.
Biofeedback equipment, and we did a lot of exciting.
All imported equipments, no, madam?
Yeah. So I would like to say it here that these are Hydra Fitness equipments for exercises, and the resistance offered by the machine is proportionate to the exertion or the effort of the patient. So that's why they never had any injuries. So you varied your speed and you varied your effort, and you would get proportionate resistance. So they were very accommodating machines. They were beautiful. And we had results. Yeah.
We had a lot of celebrity sportsmen, no, ma'am?
Oh, yeah. Because we had isokinetic, I'm sorry we were not able to get the isokinetic equipment on slide here. Because of the reports that it generated, we had a lot of elite sportsmen coming to us for testing. We met Mr. Azharuddin, Kapil Dev, Sachin Tendulkar, Agarkar, you name them, they were there. Yes. MRF used to sponsor them in those days. MRF used to sponsor the cricket team.
Right.
At that point in time. And all of them came here, and because of the reports, they could identify the weaker areas in their profession, weaker areas in their performance, and therefore they could work on their performance in those weaker areas. And then
Right.
within 8 to 10 weeks, they would come back to retest themselves on the isokinetic equipment. So
Right.
we met so many sports people from tennis, like Reena Achrekar, and
Yes.
from tennis, from table tennis, Kamlesh, Popat, and so on. And
Right.
from it was
Quite
an
an
interesting time for us. Yeah.
yes.
And even some actors, the junior actors used to come to us. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, what was your transition from physiotherapy to the administrative part as a chief operating officer?
See, because we had ISO accreditation, which is an international accreditation, BUPA,
Yeah.
that is British United Provident Association, that's a healthcare. They joined Piramal Group, Piramals,
Mm,
uh, Piramal and formed Wellspring Healthcare. Okay,
right. Yes.
uh, uh,
Go back.
and then Wellspring Healthcare. Bupa was with Piramals for 2.5 years, from 99, from
Mm,
99 till 2002,
right.
till 2002, and
Mm-hmm.
then they went back. They
I,
withdrew. Uh,
right.
then Wellspring continued, but it was a commercial venture,
Mm,
whereas Gopi Krishna Piramal Memorial Hospital was and is uh, registered with Charity Commission.
okay.
So it offers free service, uh,
Mm,
free service to the poorer section. So
right.
then Gopi Krishna Piramal Memorial Hospital separated from Wellspring,
Right.
and then Dr. Piramal asked me if I would like to take charge of the the charitable wing, which I
Right.
happily wanted to do, you know. So
Change the slide, please.
that's how I've got. I moved to GPMH, as it is shortly called,
Right.
and and then I took over the administrative position of
I see.
CEO,
So,
operating chief of.
what all did we do in GPMH, ma'am?
Oh, we did quite a lot of activities.
Mm-hmm.
One is we started. Dr. Acharya Vidya Acharya joined us, Professor Vidya Acharya, from nephrologist from KEM. She was professor for 40 years. So she joined
Okay.
us, and then
Mm,
we started a dialysis center for poor patients.
okay.
So we started a course in dialysis technology,
Mm-hmm.
because there was acute shortage of dialysis technicians in India.
Mm,
So we started a course with SNDT, 9 months course with 3 months internship, and
okay.
then we did dot clinics for uh, tuberculosis patients.
Right.
Tuberculosis patients under a revised program for eradication of tuberculosis. It's a
Tuberculosis.
WHO project. And
Correct.
we also did, because diabetes and hypertension is so very prevalent, these are multi-organ diseases. So we started
Right.
6 clinics in
Uh-huh.
uh, slum areas like Dharavi, uh, Ray Road, Matunga Labor
Right.
Camp, PGP
Mm-hmm.
Road, and so on. And
Okay.
first, we used to do detection camps, and we must have
Mm-hmm.
done about 75 detection camps. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, really. And then uh,
Mm,
we also started these clinics to check the patients and dispense free medicines to these patients.
okay.
And
Okay.
I must say that this kind of work was not we couldn't get the younger doctors to do this kind of work. So we had to get
Mm,
retired physicians. And the two heroines, if I may use the word, was Dr. Parulekar,
mm,
Usha Parulekar, and Dr. Prema
mm.
Sangoram. They did this difficult task and going weekly to these clinics. And the compliance of our patients was so good. So 80% of the patients had their blood pressures and blood sugar levels in the control level. So it was a very heartening exercise for Piramal Hospital. Yeah. So,
okay. So are you still with GPMH or you've retired now?
Now I've retired from 1st November 2020. I've had a very long inning. And,
yeah, lovely. Great. Madam, so what is the secret of your long innings? Working till such a lovely age. With zest and...
I'm glad you are saying lovely, lovely.
Of course. Yes, it is, madam. Lovely innings.
Yeah, sure. I think, Netra, I can say something. When we did courses in fitness sciences, when the sports sciences department gym was started, we did, if you remember, we did a course in fitness sciences.
Yes.
And I had to give lectures on aging. Okay, fitness in aging.
Yes.
And Catch McCardle's physiology book said, I remembered it like a mantra. I don't know if you all would like to remember this. It said that at the age of 20, all your internal organs work at 100%. At the age 20, all your organs work at 100%. But when you reach 80, if you're not careful, they work at 20%.
Okay.
If you're not careful.
So that
even then, even if you're careful, you can retain maximum up to 40% of performance of your organs. So I remembered it all the time.
But madam, your performance was much more than 40. So you can't say that that was true. Your performance was 100%, if I may say.
Yeah. Actually, Netra, my husband encouraged me. My family support was there.
Yes.
And is still there. I have an extended family here. We have a joint family system. They are very helpful.
Right.
Even now, Rashmi is sitting right with me, holding my hand. You can't see her.
How sweet. You're really lucky, madam.
I'm very lucky. I've always been lucky. So
good. So, God bless.
Yeah. And I think the zest for work, interest and zest for work is very important.
Absolutely.
So that's how I've managed to pull along.
Yes, madam. I have seen you working right from the day that I started in 1988. Yeah. And I really marvel at your energy and zest for work and the interest and passion for your whatever you're doing. So you never really deterred from taking on any new challenges. So thank you very much, ma'am, for taking us through your interesting journey and enriching experience as a physiotherapist and as the Chief Operating Officer. You are indeed an inspiration to all of us and to all the young physios to carry on working till the end, till one can contribute